know, I can't even tell you how many times people have asked me what about some of these virtual programs, like, you know, for example, in Florida Virtual School. A lot of people think when I say, you know, that we homeschool or that we've homeschooled or whatever, they say, oh, Florida Virtual School. That's not exactly what homeschooling is. But a lot of people say, okay, well then what's the difference? Florida Virtual School, full-time. Okay, I kind of made a chart because I'm visual, and this to me has been super helpful in kind of explaining to people the difference in like a controlled virtual school that is actually the public school standards that a child would be doing at home, and actual independent homeschooling. Okay, there is a difference. There's a huge difference actually. Florida Virtual School full-time is technically public school that your child does at home. Okay, you can go on their website and you can actually look at the differences between Florida Virtual School full-time, and then there's also what they have Florida Virtual School Flex, and I'm going to talk to you about the differences in those and about the differences in actual independent homeschooling, okay, which is what we do, okay. Florida Virtual School full-time, we have never done. It's basically, like I said, it's public school that you do at home. You will have no freedom from public school standards or public school schedule. I think generally it's about an 8:30 to 4:30 type schedule with Florida Virtual School full-time. Now, as I'm saying this, I have never used it, so please, if you're using this as a reference as to what you want to do to make a decision, just go to these websites and you can get this information for yourself so you can actually read the documents. Florida Virtual School full-time keeps your records for you, okay? So it's just like your kid being in public school, except for they're doing it at home, okay? Public school at home, right? That's just exactly what I said. You're going to keep the same schedule as whatever Florida Virtual School full-time dictates. It's not going to be flexible because someone else is making your schedule, someone else is telling you what you need to turn in, someone else is telling you what you have to learn, someone else is telling you exactly what your kids should be learning when, okay? A lot of people like that option. It's not actually homeschooling, okay? It is a public school program that is offered at home. I guess the term homeschooling makes people think that like if you're doing your schooling at home, so maybe that's where the confusion stands. But real true homeschooling is when the parents are making the decisions on how the child is educated, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be at home all the time. Now, if you use Florida Virtual School full-time, your schedule is going to be dictated by the teachers, like I said, and it's also going to issue you a public school diploma. So it's just like if your kid were to attend a public school for 13 years. They get the same diploma through Florida Virtual School full-time. You also have to abide by testing, just like the students in public school. When you do Florida Virtual School full-time, you must abide by their testing requirements. There is no freedom in this option. This is just like public school, okay? So let's move to the next one, which is kind of in the middle, okay? Florida Virtual School also offers a program called Florida Virtual School Flex. This option here, Florida Virtual School full-time, you are not registered as a homeschooler. You are considered a public school student because they are doing the work for you and they are dictating what you are doing. Florida Virtual School Flex, you are registered as a homeschool student. That means that the parents are keeping the records. These courses can be taken as a one-time thing. They can be taken 2 classes a semester. They can be taken all 6 classes on the Flex option, but you are still the person keeping your records. You can take as many of these classes as you want, or none at all if you're an independent homeschooler. You can take any level you want. Now, this option is great for children, especially who want to get ahead if you would like to, let's just say you're not into the whole independent homeschooling thing, you don't want to dictate what your own kids are doing, you'd rather give a little bit of, you know, classes through the virtual school, you can take whatever level your child needs. So if I have a student who maybe struggled in math last year and I really want him to try to take a public school math, but maybe bump him down a grade, I could do that, okay? Right now I have an 8th grader who is working on her 2nd credit in high school through Florida Virtual School Flex for Spanish 2, okay? She's only 13. I know kids who are 9 who are working on high school credits through Florida Virtual School Flex, okay? So this is kind of like a middle of the road when it comes to public school at home with the least freedom and the most freedom, which is independent homeschooling, okay? This is just an option for homeschoolers to take that is still similar to the public school standards, but it's more flexible, a la carte classes, kind of self-paced options, but you still have to abide by what the teachers on each of these classes will give your student, or sometimes they will withdraw you. So this one is kind of like the middle of the road when it comes to the least amount of freedom here and the most amount of freedom here, okay? Let's move to where we are registered as a homeschooler through the county, right? Most freedom, okay? You as a homeschooler cannot take this option. This public school at home Florida virtual school, homeschoolers cannot take this, because once you take this Florida virtual school full-time, you are now considered a public school student and your student must be registered with the public school. If you are registered as a homeschooler, you are considered independent and you can do whatever option you would like, be it if you'd like to take a class with this or not, okay? Some people don't ever use Florida Virtual School. That's just an option. Middle of the road here, okay? So this is just dabbling a little into the Florida Virtual School system, but you are not required as an independent homeschooler to take any virtual school courses, okay? For an independent homeschooler, this is the most amount of freedom, guys. Parents are keeping records. I did do a video on the portfolio option. That'll give you a little bit of an idea of what you need to be doing every year. Parents issue credits. Now, this is not something that you have to worry about until your student is in high school. Sounds overwhelming. I promise it's not. There's plenty of resources out there for this. Parents also issue the diploma. This is another thing that I'm not even going to go into because it seems overwhelming, but I promise you it is not. A lot of kids that want to go to college get into college, no matter if their diploma comes from here or if their diploma comes from here, okay? So, that being said, independent homeschooler, parents choose the courses, the curriculum. They have the option of changing the schedule, making the schedule, schooling at night, schooling in the morning, schooling on the weekends, not schooling at all, okay? We have the ultimate freedom in this option, okay? We also create our own standards. Now, I know a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh gosh, how do I know what I'm supposed to be teaching my kids every year? What am I supposed to do? Some homeschoolers do go and look at the public school standards just to make sure they are meeting them. That is also not a requirement, okay? No tests required with this option, guys. No test required with this option, guys. As long as you are a registered homeschooler, you do not have to take tests. There is an option and you can, but you are not required. I know a lot of people whose children never take a single test until the SATs, and then they jump into taking the SATs and it works out perfectly, okay? Or you can choose not to. No test required. You can make an accelerated or a slower learning environment for your children in this option, also in this option, but you know, you have less control of the content of the classes in this option. You can choose whatever option you want with this. You can buy an 8th grade math program when your kid's 2 years old if you wanted to, okay? You can teach your 12-year-old chemistry or biology or anatomy or pre-calculus if you want. So this one definitely gives you more of an option. You can pick classes that are available to you as a registered homeschooler, okay? That means you can choose these courses, Florida Virtual School Flex, but it does not mean you can choose these. Remember I said you cannot jump into the Florida Virtual School full-time if you are a registered homeschooler unless you terminate your homeschool and register as a public school student, okay? So this gives us more freedom. This gives us no freedom. This gives us kind of a middle of the road if you want to dabble in with the public school curriculum, okay? A lot of people choose this option, myself included, because I like to choose curriculum that is Christian-based. You can do that as an independent homeschooler. So that being said, I know that I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, how do you know what are you supposed to teach your children, when to teach them? What are you supposed to teach them in each grade? I think I'm going to do a video on that too, because hopefully I can maybe shed a little bit of peace on your hearts. But I hope this was helpful in maybe giving you an idea of how Florida Virtual School versus homeschool actually works. Let me know if